The old claps for Ken Burrs in the studio. Thanks for joining us, man. Just rolled up. It's like 7 p.m. for people watching. This is pre-recorded. Sorry, we're not live. 7 p.m. right now, and here's what I like. Practice is after this podcast. Getting after it late.
Talking about practice.
Talking about practice.
Not a game.
Up at Indio. That's the best rant ever, by the way.
We sitting here, I supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice.
It is.
He's the best. Are you an Iverson guy?
Yeah, I used to watch him growing up a lot.
Yeah. Nice. Did you grow up in Hagerstown or just go to high school in Hagerstown?
I grew up in Hagerstown. I grew up also in Baltimore, like here and there.
Okay. Where was Iverson from? He was from like Southern Virginia, like Newport.
I'm not even sure exactly.
What's that called? Norfolk area, I think. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. I thought he was like DC-ish as well for some reason.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Was that The Rock?
It's The Rock. Yeah.
You're a pro wrestling guy too? I'm not at all, for the record.
Everyone.
The early 2000s.
Dude, you had to be.
Danny Palm, dude, the producer here. Danny Palm, the legend behind the keys there. He is a massive pro wrestling fan too. Like,
dude, I'm gonna hijack this. So wait, you have practice after this?
Yeah.
So Danilo's like, okay, the last practice of the night for the groups is it ends at 9, so be here at 9:05. Is that what the deal is?
It starts at 8:30.
8:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Muay Thai.
Okay. So is it like advanced Muay Thai? Is it like all but whole class full of every level or what?
I mean, you get like people who kind of just want to do it for like a workout, and then you have like, the fighters, but sometimes they'll split it up. It just depends on what they, have planned that night.
am I this lazy? But I feel like 8:30 on a Tuesday kind of weans out people that are just doing it for fun. Like, I'm not just showing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not going at 8:30 on a Tuesday if I'm not serious about it.
Yeah, the classes aren't very big.
Yeah.
But, hey.
So what is your week like? You don't got to go class by class, but are you at Indio pretty much every day, or what's your schedule like there?
I'm there at least 4 days a week.
Nice.
Like, I'll go Tuesday, Thursday, to the Muay Thai. I'll do some jiu-jitsu, and then the MMA classes and no-gi grappling.
Nice. Obviously a super strong wrestling background. What sparked your interest in the stand-up arts?
Well, I mean, I started wrestling pretty late. I mean, I started my sophomore year of high school, so when I was 15. The stand-up part, I mean, I realized it's a necessary evil for MMA, but also my brother is actually a pro boxer, so like he's kind of been a big influence on like me doing stand-up and trying to get better at it.
That's nuts. You don't hear about too many siblings in this realm. Like, we don't get too many fighters in here that say my sister brother's a pro boxer or whatever. That's interesting. So was fighting big in your household growing up? Were you guys big fans of combat sports in general?
I mean, me and my brother, we've kind of like been into fighting most of our lives. I mean, we started watching the early UFCs like from a younger age, just on ESPN.
Yeah.
And then like when the marathons would come on, we'd watch those on what was it, like Spike at that time? Yeah.
Fuel.
Yeah.
Versus.
Going through a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always been into it, but I never really, I guess, fully committed until 3 years ago. I started training.
I have a question.
Yes.
What's your brother's name?
Ryan Burrs.
Okay. I thought maybe he was is fighting someone named Burrs. On
Yeah,
the
that's
18th.
actually a potential fight that's coming up in Morgantown.
Oh, wait, is that him? That's your brother?
Yes.
His fight is boxing comma?
Yeah.
Okay. That's nuts.
Wait,
Good call,
whoa,
Danny Palm.
whoa,
Danny Palm from the top rope.
I saw that too. I saw Burrs, and I thought, man, there's other people named Burrs, like, right?
Yeah, I didn't
Wait,
remotely
so
think
Kama's
twice.
boxing your brother
Yes.
in like a couple, like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, he said he hasn't, like, it's still kind of like, up in the air, but he hasn't really heard anything about it, so he thinks it's still kind of going through. So I mean, he's kind of just waiting on that, just working out and training and stuff.
That's nuts. Good call, Danny Palm.
Well,
That's
the poster's out.
Yeah, they posted a poster, but I talked to him about it a couple weeks ago, and he was saying he didn't really know like the progress of it. So he was kind of just like, just
Boxing's
going
an
with it.
interesting. Like it's
so
not like
different.
MMA. It's so different.
Yeah, it's he's kind of just like, just going with the flow now. Like he was like really deep into it for a while, but change of passion, I guess. And he's not trying to force it right now because he's kind of like at that age where he doesn't really know if he wants to like continue, like fully invested or just kind of just like, casually. Yeah, he's more in the casual stage now.
Sure.
Like, he's
Boxing's it's an interesting. It's so, well, that's the thing is like in MMA, you could be a pro mixed martial artist. You could be like Kama and have a bunch of losses and find your way. And then those losses they don't destroy your potential career. Whereas boxing, if you're not like undefeated for like,
15-0 at least.
They literally see you as like a next step. Like you don't really have a projection to go to the highest levels. It's weird. It's just different.
Yeah.
It's so different.
Super different, man. We were actually matching a boxing show one time and just learning that side of things, the way it went, like all the different ins and outs of matching boxing versus MMA. We were actually working with Derek Gianta, who's a promoter here, not working with him in any formal sense, but meeting with him to get help and pointers and stuff, and just listening to him pour out knowledge of how the boxing world works. Like, we feel like we have a pretty good grasp of MMA and how to run an MMA show. We thought, it can't be that different. It's that different.
Yeah.
We were lost, dude.
Yeah, he tells me about it. I was just like, dang, that's a lot of moving pieces there.
It really is. But it's funny that you said you've learned that stand-up is a necessary evil of MMA when your brother's a pro boxer. Clearly, he loves stand-up. Does he like to wrestle too?
He actually has a couple MMA fights.
Okay.
Like, he's not big on wrestling. He's more of a jiu-jitsu type guy.
Mm-hmm.
But, he has, I don't know how many exactly. I've seen 2 or 3, but yeah, he's pretty good grappling for someone who didn't,
who doesn't care about it.
Yeah, who didn't really wrestle,
That's
or
solid.
anything like that. So,
Well, clearly good bloodlines going on in the Burrs family. You guys are, I assume him too. I don't know him well, but you're a beast in the K. Like, you've clearly taken to it very quickly. That's kind of what everybody says about, we talked to Danilo a good bit, and he just is always singing your praises, your work ethic, and how quickly you pick things up. Just a super athlete in general.
Yeah.
But from Baltimore, you said, then Hagerstown. What brought you to the Pittsburgh region at all?
I kind of just ended up here. Like, so when I was...
Where did it go?
I'm in Pittsburgh.
Here I am.
Got to make it work now.
Yeah,
I'm here.
I was moving around a lot, but so when I graduated high school, I originally went to Penn State Mont Alto.
Yeah, I know that.
For a semester.
What?
And
Penn State? What?
Mont Alto.
Mont Alto.
It's like outside Chambersburg.
It's a
PA.
branch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never even heard that. I've heard Barron. I've heard Altoona. I've heard Mont Alto.
Mont Alto,
That's,
bro.
Wow.
Yeah, their
I need to get my-
first like official wrestling season was my first year. My year
Oh, wow.
going there. Yeah.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool. Like just introducing the program to us and whatnot. But after that, I left after a semester, and then I joined the Army. And there, a lot of different stuff happened.
Sure.
But after the Army, that's when I came to Waynesburg because I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do with life. So I was like, maybe I'll, go to school, see if I can figure something out within 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just contacting schools around, and then Waynesburg's kind of the one that gave me like, kind of helped me through the process of like getting like into school and getting me situated and all that. So I ended up going there, wrestled 3 years, and then went to trade school and
That's an interesting path for sure, man. You don't see many people go to college, then the military, and then wind back up at a university like that. Usually you just kind of stick. But what didn't click at Mont Alto? What took you from Mont Alto to the Army?
It was more like a personal thing.
Yeah.
I kind of just had like, grades, a lot of stuff. I didn't know if I really wanted to do school like that.
Got it.
So I just like,
Yeah.
just joined the Army and went with that for a little bit.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because it's funny, like how I know you, obviously not very well or anything. Like our relationship's pretty short since you fought for us in October and everything. We started to learn more about you. You seem like a crazy, driven, motivated guy in general. Just everything, like I said, we hear from Danilo. So you seem like the kind of guy to me that would go to college and just be that guy. It's like skating through it, like dedicated every level. So it was funny for me to hear that that wasn't always the case for you. So what do you think changed? Like, when did it click for you? Like, let's get my life in order and turn this shit around. Because it seems like you got it going on now.
I think it was after my junior year at Waynesburg.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I knew I wanted to, wrestle in college. So getting out of the Army, I was like, since I don't really know exactly what I want to do, I might as well, like, go to college, at least get an education, and then, potentially wrestle. And that's what ended up happening. So that was pretty cool. But I think my junior year after, kind of after nationals was when I was just like, yeah, school's really not for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of just like, that's when I left and went to trade school because obviously got to make money somehow.
Sure.
So I went to welding school, finished that year out. And then once I graduated, I pretty much started training. Nice.
So I'm only fortunate enough to be able to be here for the first little bit. I can answer. I have one question for you, and then I'm going to go. But I want to know, do you want water when I leave? Do you want me to bring a water for you?
Sure.
All right, great.
I thought that was the one question.
No, that's the pre-question. Question I have is, so you said, stand-up's a necessary evil. Like, we went over that a little bit. But did you get into any street fights when you were younger? Like, were you there were fights every day in my, like, when I was growing up. Like, so were you in fights? Like, and then secondly, like, when you started training MMA, do you remember, like, getting tagged in the fight, like, for the first time, like, really hit hard and like, whoa, okay, I better learn to like
not have that happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as fights when I was younger, I mean, I got in fights here and there, nothing like major. It all mostly happened outside of school. But I'd say first time I've gotten hit, it was before I even started training MMA, where I was just like, I don't know. When I started training MMA, getting hit wasn't really a problem because I've been hit by a lot of, stuff growing up. I remember I was probably like 6, and I got hit in the face with a baseball bat. So, like, pain's nothing new
on
to
purpose
me.
Or like
playing baseball.
No, it was it was on accident, but I was on the wrong side as a catcher.
I was just gonna say catcher. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then my brother actually swung and came around and smacked me right in the eye. So yeah, that wasn't.
Yeah, was that a hospital? Was that a hospital trip?
No, just my eye kind of swelled shut, and I just didn't
throw
go to
some
school
ice
for a
on
little
it.
bit. Yeah.
Just deal with it.
Yeah.
Look cool for a little bit. Nice.
Well, hey, I gotta run. I wanted to sit in because I'm super interested in you and like super excited to have you fighting for us again. So,
Yeah.
and like that fight, like we are so
fight.
geeked about that fight. That's like, I don't know. These are the kind of those are the kind of fights we live for. So
He's got to go eat tacos.
really looking
though,
forward to it. I'm gonna go grab your water. At least someone thinks of you and
know,
not just
true.
themselves.
I just bring my own giant water and chug it the whole time. Like, yeah, look at my water. Look at this
Appreciate it.
thing. Yeah, dude. That's a wild journey. So I knew from listening, because I listened to your interview on MMA. Shout out MMA Fancast, Luke Payson. You're awesome, dude. And he had Ken on here. So if you guys haven't heard that, go hear that after you finish ours, of course. But so I knew some about your journey for sure, but I was definitely intrigued by kind of that. I'm just interested when people in general get their life together, so to speak, because everybody's got their own path and it's difficult. And there's no handbook to say like, hey, just do this, this, and this, and you're set. You know, you think that might be the case, but everybody's got their own journey. And you obviously have a lot of natural skills, and like there are elements about yourself that made a lot of sense for MMA. So in that respect, like what did MMA bring to your life? What kind of stability did finding MMA provide you?
I'd say just the having a routine mostly. Like that's kind of always something I've had growing up. And I feel like when I wasn't really training, I mean, besides work, I mean, I didn't really have like that much of a routine.
Sure.
It was more so just waiting until the, you know, the next start time for the next job came around.
Yeah.
So it's been cool, like, you know, not having to always worry about that so much, but like kind of just doing what I actually want to do as opposed to doing what I, you know, have to do all the time.
For sure.
So yeah, it's been actually pretty solid lately, like with training and, you know, work and stuff. It all kind of like flows together a little bit.
For sure. Well, you're at unquestionably one of the best gyms in the area. You know, you guys had a phenomenal year last year, as you know, undefeated with 247. That was a crazy run that you guys had as a gym. What took you to India? You said you were in Pittsburgh. How did you find out about India or get hooked up with Danilo?
I found out about Indio actually was this guy I wrestled with in college, Matt Claxton, and also Tony Welsh. He was training at Indio before. Well, he's kind of training at Indio and like some other places, but I saw actually on his Snapchat he like posted it. And I was just like, oh snaps! So then I asked Matt, and he's like, yeah, Tony goes down there sometimes and stuff. I was like, oh okay. So I was like, when I actually moved up here, because I was living in Morgantown before I moved to McKeesport, and I was still just like welding and training at a gym in Uniontown. And
was that All American? Is that where you were?
Yeah, I was going there, and then like here and there, I'd go to like the academy, but like
nice,
like mostly just to do like some boxing stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then once I actually moved up to McKeesport, I kind of just like, well, might as well start going to the gym again. So I contacted Danilo, and he's came in for like a little introduction class or whatever, and then he said, you know, you start training. So I started training, came to jiu-jitsu, came to Muay Thai, and he says, you want to fight? And I was like, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much why I'm here. So, yeah, it was then pretty much from there, just got it rolling.
Nice, dude. I love that progression. And I'll say I live right outside McKeesport, too. I live in Liberty Borough, actually.
Okay.
So I know it's not it's not a quick drive to India. Like that's a long trip every day or 4 times a week, whatever you said you do it.
Yeah.
So was the goal always to become a pro MMA fighter? Like, were you just doing it for routine and exercise and fun, or from the beginning were you like, this is going to be my career and I'm going to fight?
I mean, the intention was to go pro, and you know, I'm still working towards that. But I mean, you know, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
But,
and why I ask is because, like I said, it's a long drive. Just if you're doing it as a hobby, that's a long drive. And just like you said, bouncing around all these different places, it sounds like you were always committed to keeping that in your life. Like no matter where you were living, you were still training, like you were still committed to it. So I didn't know, was that just you liked the routine and the camaraderie of it? Or were you always looking like, I'm going to do this as a, you know, make some money doing this?
I'd say a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like I said, I wanted to, like you're saying, like I wanted to do it more so just for like, I guess the structure of it and like, you know, just having like, you know, people with kind of the same mindset around me. Because, I mean, most of the jobs I've worked, I don't really have anything in common with anybody. But so, you know, coming in like MMA and like going to different like places and like just being in the gym just like makes me feel, I guess you could say, normal. Like it just feels more natural. I don't have to like force myself to do much of anything. I can just like just do me.
Yeah.
So that's
I get that for sure.
Yeah, that's been, you know, a real good thing about it. But as far as like going pro and stuff, like yeah, that's definitely like a motivation, but that's not the biggest motivation of
Sure.
doing MMA and sticking to all the different disciplines and going to the gym.
I got you. So I think you said you started wrestling when you were 15.
Yeah.
What did like 13-year-old Ken Burrs think he wanted to do with his life? Like, where were you at that stage?
13. I was playing football.
Okay.
Yeah, I played football through my junior year. So
What position?
like a running back, outside linebacker.
Totally see that. With your build, I was gonna say you had to be a running back.
Yeah.
Like, you just look like a running back.
Yeah, so like growing up with my I was the youngest of 6 boys.
Wow.
Half siblings, step siblings, but still
Sure.
brothers. But yeah, and I was since I was the youngest, and we were primarily football household because my stepsisters cheerleaded and stuff growing up.
Nice.
But I played football in fourth grade, and then I didn't play for a while, and then I started again in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, wrestling wasn't really a thing in my mind. And then I think it was my sophomore year of high school that one of the guys I was pretty cool with on the football team was like, dude, have you ever thought about wrestling? I was like, no. And he's
I
just,
haven't actually.
yeah, I was like,
Not
so
even a little
yeah,
bit.
because I
dude.
was thinking more WWE.
Yeah,
so
right.
so he was explaining, and I was just like, maybe I'll try it. I was like, dude, you should. You would probably be real good at it. And I was like, all right, sure, I'll try it out.
Nice.
So that first year wrestling was definitely a wake up call, and just like, yeah, it was nothing. It wasn't. That was definitely the hardest thing I did at that time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a lot different in football.
That's huge, though. It's funny how that all kind of comes into place, how you needed all those little steps to obviously get where you are today. It's a cool journey, man. That's why I like to ask more about how you got there. I need to ask a really important question, though. Growing up in Baltimore and playing a lot of football, tell me you're not a Ravens fan, are you? Are you a Ravens fan?
Growing up, I was a Ray Lewis fan.
Okay.
I haven't watched football
That's
since
fair.
2013.
Oh, man.
Since the Ravens won the Super Bowl and Ray Lewis retired. Yeah.
Like, that's as good. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm going out on top. This is as good as it can get.
Yeah, I was just like, well, biggest role model I probably had for a while. I was like, he's done, so what's the point?
I think even Steelers fans have to acknowledge that Ray Lewis was one of the best.
Oh,
He's
absolutely.
super talented. You can't deny his credentials. He was the man. That was a great rivalry in
Oh,
that
yeah.
stretch. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, especially
Steelers
the early
Ravens.
2000s. All that was
So
like
good.
those game
So
nights
good,
were always
dude.
nice. Yeah.
There were like 6 concussions a game, man. Like people were just getting
Yeah.
laid out. Yeah, those are good times, man. So you did you only love football during that time period, or was it like you kind of always dabbled, or
It was kind of more so that time period.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I moved to Baltimore, that was probably like 2002, 2001.
okay?
So that was like when I first got introduced to like, the Ravens, and then obviously Ray Lewis.
Right.
Because my grandfather was a big Ravens fan. He grew up born and raised in Baltimore. So
Did they win in 2000 as well?
yeah,
The
they
Super
won
Bowl?
in 2000
Okay.
and 2013.
Gotcha.
So
That's
that was
perfect
like
for you.
yeah. Yeah, so like he was real big then. So he like after, was that his rookie year or something?
It
like
had
that?
to be close to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he like first started out, I was like, oh man, that dude's pretty tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then since then it was just, I did pretty much like I say I motivate, like I kind of like put my lifestyle out of how he spoke pretty
Mhm.
much.
That's cool, man.
That's pretty much like my motivation with like, since I didn't really play like sports, like organized sports like that, like every year,
Mm-hmm.
like growing up. Like I said, I played in fourth grade. I played football, but then I didn't play a sport organized until high school.
Mm-hmm.
So like I just kind of just stayed working out and just, just stuck to doing whatever at the time.
Yeah.
So
I think it's interesting because I still see Ray Lewis popping up all the time on Instagram and stuff, motivational speaking. He's got that power to just command a room and inspire people. So I could definitely see how a young kid in Baltimore would be like really latching onto that. Yeah. Do you still watch his stuff? Like, do you still?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got that ability to just fire up a crowd for sure that people love. And that's the last of good stuff I'm going to say about Ray Lewis on a Pittsburgh podcast.
Yeah, it's all good.
No, dude, but I want to get obviously into the fight. You got a huge fight coming up in April against James Leto, a pit wrestler, current pit wrestler, trains at Stout. I mean, we announced this fight a while ago because we knew that people were going to go nuts when we announced it. We're like, this is a huge matchup on so many levels, but what excited you about it?
Just the level of competition mostly, because I feel like if I have a tough opponent, I'm going to train harder, as opposed to if I get someone that's not on, like, let's say he's not on that level. It's kind of like, I don't know. For how I train, I feel like I should be going against someone who's going to give me a harder time, as opposed to going against someone who's like not necessarily like, you know, fully committed to it. So it's kind of like mentally, I'm just like, not as into it.
Yeah, I totally get it. I can completely see where you're coming from with that. Yeah. And in full disclosure, like, that's tough with guys like you and Leto too. So that from our perspective, it's super nice that you guys agreed to fight each other because, as you know, like the PA novice amateur rules. Yeah. But knowing the backgrounds that you guys have, and once they can see your first fight, it's tough to find somebody with 0 to 3 fights that's going to fight either one of you guys. Like, that's very hard for us. So when you guys agreed to do it, we were like, yes, on so many levels. Because, and me personally as a fan, like, dude, I'm like you, and like I watched Leto's interview on Fancast as well. He said almost identical what you just said. Like, it's nice to know that challenge is ahead of me, like pushes me in training. Yeah. Like, me as a fan, that's what excites me too. Like, I have no idea who's going to win. I have no idea how it's going to shake out. I just know that 2 of the very best amateur middleweights are going to fight each other. And that's just exciting, dude. Yeah. So did you watch his MMA Fancast interview? Leto's?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, Danilo told me about it. I was like,
Danilo's watching it. Nice. Yeah. What like, Danilo's such a, first off, it's crazy that he's in Pittsburgh. I say this all the time. Like, we are blessed to have somebody like that in the Pittsburgh community with his credentials and his knowledge and his ability to cultivate, like, I don't even know if this is intentional on his part, but it seems like he takes these stud college wrestlers and then turns them into good jiu-jitsu artists, good all-around grapplers, and ultimately good MMA fighters. Like, he has an ability to take wrestlers and turn them into really good fighters like none other. Like, he's amazing at it. Yeah. What has he done for your game? Like, what was your first couple interactions at Indio, or like your first couple months maybe? Like, how did you adapt to his system and his way of teaching?
I mean, I feel like I pretty much rolled right into it. Like, he's like pretty good with his instructions and kind of like getting his point across. So like that, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it was more just like a natural thing. I didn't have to like strain my brain too hard to try to be like, oh, what is he talking about? Like, oh, what's that? Oh, what? How do you do that? It's like, no, it was pretty like good going into it. I mean, I thought it was going to be a lot more difficult. Like, after I looked up his credentials and stuff, I was like, oh shit. I was like, he's probably gonna start showing me some stuff I ain't never seen before. I mean, granted, he does do some groovy stuff, but like, he definitely has a big impact on like I'd say like more my IQ towards things. So like whenever we're rolling or something, he'll like point something out, and it's just something so small and simple that you wouldn't think about, but it makes like that big of a difference. And it's just like, dang. So he really knows. He knows his stuff. Oh man, obviously.
No question about that. You mentioned his credentials, which can be, to me, putting myself in your shoes like that, like you said, it's intimidating, kind of. Not only on the, am I going to be able to keep up level? Like, is he going to be showing me crazy stuff? But also the, like, for me, and maybe this isn't you, but like, you don't want to disappoint him. You know what I mean? Like, he's got so much knowledge and so much passion, so much time built up. It's like, if you're representing him and his school, it seems like that would add extra pressure. Like, man, the name Indio Dojo, like that means something.
Yeah.
Do you feel that when you enter the cage for him or when you compete under his banner?
Not necessarily, because the mindset I had was like, this guy is really about the business. So it's like, I mean, that's what I want, like in someone who's teaching me, like, MMA and jiu-jitsu. And then obviously I have my Muay Thai coaches and Uncle Jeff and Mikey, and like it's just the same everywhere around. Like, they're really pushing the little things, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what wins fights.
For sure. Yeah, in this fight coming up with Lito, like we mentioned, it seems extremely even on paper. It's a really nice stylistic matchup. Are you excited to test your wrestling against his? Do you see it as more of a stand-up fight? Like, when you think about how this fight's going to go, obviously two strong wrestling backgrounds. Is it going to be are you going to test each other's wrestling? Is it going to cancel out and be a stand-up fight? You know what I mean? Like, how do you picture it playing out?
I mean, I don't really know. I don't really look that deep into it.
Probably smart. Yeah.
I kind of just go in, and you kind of just got to adapt to
kind of flow.
Yeah, adapt to whatever comes up in the situation. Because, anyone can like go in with a plan, but I mean, with the crowd, the adrenaline, and all that, like, most of that goes out of the window. That's why, like, it's good to focus on like the basics, so that way you don't have to think about some crazy shit to do on a
for sure
in a fight. Yeah,
but the wrestler in you doesn't want to take him down like that. There's not that part of you that's like, come on, let me show this.
I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I mean, I don't be wrestling like that anymore.
No, okay.
I mean, I do wrestle, but I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think a lot of wrestlers obviously transition to MMA extremely well. It's a great base, and for jiu-jitsu and general grappling. But what was your first jiu-jitsu class like? Like, did you take to jiu-jitsu itself as a pure art form very quickly as well?
I say relatively quickly. Like, at first, I was more like, just trying to get used to the positions, because, I mean, obviously in wrestling, you can't be on your back. So I had to get used to, like, if someone's on their back, to pretty much not wear myself out trying to fight for a submission off the bottom. So it's more of like a patience game compared to like wrestling, where it's just fast. It's like a sprint the whole way through.
Sure.
So, overall, jiu-jitsu has been like a nice change in an aspect, but sometimes I just want to like go. But obviously, you gotta be a lot smarter in jiu-jitsu.
Could definitely see that. Yeah. Get caught real quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned that the hard way, but
sure.
It's like, it happens. Good learning experience.
Yeah, you did fight to win as well, right? You had a match there when it was in Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, I did.
How did you like that whole experience in the kind of competitive grappling?
It was cool. I mean, I think that's more what I kind of was like focusing towards when I first started going to Indio, and because I kind of still like had that wrestling urge.
Sure.
I didn't want to like train for wrestling like that.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, it's a grind. I mean, I enjoy it, but at the end of the day, it's like,
it's nuts.
Yeah.
Dude. The wrestling grind's insane. Danny Palm's a
it's
huge wrestling guy too, like both pro wrestling and amateur wrestling. But yeah, he's big into all types of wrestling, and like we talk about it all the time. Like the wrestling grind is just totally next level.
Yeah.
But it helps you, and it helps all MMA fighters, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Like when it not even the skills are one thing. Like that's a huge advantage, just knowing how to wrestle.
Yeah.
But mentally is the even bigger gain in my eyes. When I look at wrestlers, like all wrestlers can transition to MMA, it seems like.
For sure.
Yeah. It's freaking nuts, man. So you wanted to do competitive grappling originally when you went to India, which I think is interesting. What brought MMA back around as like, well, I guess I should ask this. Is MMA the focus right now? It seems like it to us, obviously. Okay.
Yeah.
So how did it swing back from grappling to MMA?
I mean, grappling, it wasn't like it was like, my main focus when I started going there. Like I started doing the no-gi classes, then I kind of was like, kind of focusing more on jiu-jitsu and grappling as opposed to like working my stand up as much.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, you know what? I mean, I'm going to be doing MMA, so I should probably balance them out a little better. So that's what kind of when I split it. But
Okay.
yeah, it was nothing like crazy. I just kind of like, you know, saw all these tournaments come up, but then I also saw how much those tournaments cost. And I was like, yeah, no, that's that's a lot
for
to
me.
me. Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, like little wrestling tournaments cost like open tournaments cost like $25.
Sure,
So,
sure. Yeah, it's a different ball game. And then
Yeah.
MMA obviously is different yet with just all the paperwork and whatnot you got to do
Yeah.
ahead of time.
Yeah.
But as an amateur, you can still even make some money selling tickets. So there's that too.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. We were honored to have your first fight. Like I said, like that was really cool to have your debut back at B14. Was that 14? Good. Yeah, I think at the casino. You were at the casino show.
Yeah.
What was the experience like? Because you mentioned something interesting with like once the crowd's going and everything. Because the environment in the casino is really nice. Like it's pretty hype in there. It gets packed in and crazy in there. What was your first experience inside the cage fighting like?
Well, this fight actually wasn't my first time fighting in a cage.
My God.
So like, I kind of had a better grasp than like the first time I did. So like, I hear it. It was like, you know, obviously you hear the crowd from the back, and then you're kind of just warming up, and you just feel your heart rate elevating. So I mean, I kind of just, you know, just understood where I was, and just, you know, just deep breathing kind of
Nice.
figures that out, and just know that like, you know, this isn't the only big competition I've been in. So I just kind of channel that out, and then just, you know, do what I trained to do.
Yeah. Well, now I feel dumb. But was that in the military?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't feel as dumb then because I was like, I'm pretty sure he was 0-0.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't like an officially sanctioned fight in the military, but what was that as part of some combatives program or something?
Yeah, it was the combatives tournament. For I was I'm pretty sure they have them on most posts. So for me, it was 82nd Airborne Division. They had their thing they called All American Week. I actually talked about on the interview.
I do remember you talking about this with Luke now.
Yeah. So like they have a week where like everyone in the division kind of splits up and does like separate sports. So like flag football, basketball, volleyball,
and you're
whatever.
like, nah, I'm gonna punch somebody.
Yeah. Well, it was just combatives. They said combatives tournament. I didn't really know that much into it, and I was like, oh, so just like, you know, just combatives, so pretty much like jujitsu, but not as, I don't know, not as trained.
Sure.
So so for the first few rounds, so up until the semis, it's just pretty much straight jujitsu. Like we would have like our uniforms on, and they would just tie a belt on us, and it was just like, you know, submissions and stuff like that. So after that, it was the semis is put shin guards on, so it's kicks, knees, anywhere but the face, and obviously the crotch. But
Sure.
Open hand slaps to the face, and then closed fist to the body.
Okay.
And then
Sweet.
and then the finals was MMA.
Interesting.
And those were like the amateur Ohio rules.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What are like? I don't know. I never knew this existed at all. Like this tier system.
I didn't either. I just went into it and I was like, oh, that's cool, I guess.
I guess I'm going to do this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you win?
Yeah, I won.
Okay.
I won that tournament twice. Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
Reigning, defending. Nice. Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So obviously I didn't realize that was in the cage. I did remember that from Luke's interview, but I didn't realize those were like an actual cage fight at the end.
Yeah.
So okay, that's pretty sweet.
But like touching back on I guess you say like emotions for your first fight. But yeah, that fight, yeah, I like definitely could feel it because we were in the back rooms, which was pretty much the racquetball court. So we had the blue corner and the red corner. Everyone's kind of just there doing their thing. So so someone would go out, get their introduction and all of that. You hear kind of like the crowd like muttering a little bit, not much. You just hear, and then you just hear like loud like screams and stuff, and then everyone's just stomping their feet. So I'm like, oh man, what's going on out there?
Oh.
So then the guys would come back, just busted faces and like bloody noses. Dude had like his nose was like completely sideways. I was like, oh shit,
This is real.
yes. And
Nice.
I would, and we started from the bottom and went up, and I was fighting light heavyweight at the time.
Oh wow.
So I was like just waiting as people kept coming back, busted face, busted face, busted face. I'm just like, shit. Well, can't back out now, so
Yeah,
I guess we
yeah.
gotta go with it.
Yeah. So how did you win both of those?
TKO.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Kind of like ground and pound, or was it
Yeah,
on
there
feet?
was the first one was like early in the first, and then the last one was actually probably like 5 seconds before the round ended.
Nice.
And I was not even training. I wasn't training for that second one, so I was like, all right, yeah, I'm glad that kind of ended quick.
Yeah.
Because I was not going. Yeah, I was
The
not.
cardio wasn't there yet.
The cardio was not there for that.
Did you know the people you were fighting? Like, were they people that you saw every day in the?
No.
Okay.
They're from different units within the division.
Okay.
So I think one of the guys, actually no, the 2 finals fights I had, both guys were from the same unit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They probably hate you in that unit. They're like, man, that
Man,
guy is
man.
ruining our fun, like taking our
Probably not.
guys out
Yeah.
2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Do you keep in touch with any of them? Like, are they aware that you're an MMA fighter now for reals?
I mean, a couple of people I was stationed with, they follow me on Instagram. I mean, I've talked to them here and there, probably not as much as I wish I would, but
Sure.
you know, it's kind of
That's
hard
life,
sometimes.
too.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, you just move. It's kind of just like hard,
Different,
especially
man.
working, and then it's like, oh, they don't just live next door to me.
Right.
They live a few
Yeah.
states over.
It's different
and,
now for sure, yeah. But it's cool. I mean, having Instagram, having these things, obviously there's like our live streaming platform, 247 Live. This ability for people wherever to watch. Does it feel cool for you to know like you can build this career in Pittsburgh with us? Like, we're obviously happy to have you fighting for us, but it just seems like for somebody like you said, that's all spread out, friends, family all over the place, but you have this kind of core that they can still follow you whatever you're doing.
Yeah, it's been cool. I mean, I was never I actually, before I started coming to the dojo, I didn't have any social media. So I kind of was just, just going through life, doing whatever, and then this came up, and I was like, I mean, obviously it's good for promoting yourself and stuff.
Yeah.
But also like contacting people that I haven't talked to in a while.
For sure.
So that's been like a cool thing, and it's like the support's been real cool. There's it's good you're doing this, good you're doing that. It's like, because I don't know, I feel like I'm not really I moved around. Since I moved around a lot, I feel like I lost contact with a lot of people, and people just kind of just like, like, oh shit, you just disappeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't have social media in today's day and age, I mean, that's how people keep in touch for the most part. Like, if you don't have social and you move, it's like, well, I guess I'm never talking to Ken again.
Pretty much, yeah. So that's been it's been a nice startup, living up here and stuff.
Nice, man. Well, I'm happy everything's going well for you. Obviously, happy to get you back in the cage as well. April 15th, ladies and gentlemen listening, Ken Burrs fights James Leto at Brawl in the Burgh 16. Dude, this card, I don't know if you've looked at the seating chart, the tickets, but like, it's selling so fast. This event and the casino is going to be so nuts, dude.
Yeah.
Like, we are hyped for this show, and that fight in particular is one of the best. Like I said, one of the best matchups you could possibly put together between two amateur 185 or so. We're honored to have you back in there, dude, and we can't wait to see how it plays out.
For sure.
Yeah. Send it off. Danny Palm. All right, brother. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
I
thanks for
appreciate you
having me.
stopping in.
Yep, thank you.